And now, Rate That Album, Season 3, with Paul Muad'Dib and Joe Fremming. Two guys who know stuff. Hi, and welcome to Rate That Album, the back and forth album review with myself, Paul Muad'Dib, with my wonderful friend, Joe Fremming. Joe, how are you doing, sir?
Well, I feel like a right-wing pigeon from outer space, Paul.
Yes, we are going to do the 1985 classic, the Dead Milkmen's Big Lizard in My Backyard. But before we get to that, Joe, there's a few things I want to discuss because we are on there's just a shit show.
There
So real quick, I want to bring up right in the beginning, this album. Wow, apparently aliens landed in behind me. This album is at a time, like I was watching Jackass, like season 1 Jackass, because I couldn't fall asleep, and they have a new warning on there. Like, this show is shown in its original entirety, with outdated social norms. This album came out in 1985 with some really outdated social norms, so we'll be discussing that. So there's gonna be, things in here that maybe some people don't like, but I'd encourage you to listen to it anyway. So, because it's a wonderful satire album. But Joe, first of all, 3 things I want to bring up. First one is the Batman. You did a Joe down on it. I recently saw it. We didn't get a chance to talk. So on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give the Batman?
7.
That's what I gave it. Thank you. That's exactly what I gave it.
It's for me, the Nolan movies were like, that's top. Those were like movies that just happened to have Batman in them. This was very much better than the Burton and Schumacher movies, but not. I don't know. The problem with this, and there was also the problem with Joker, and I brought this up in the Joe down. They wear their influences on their sleeves. So Joker was very much a Martin Scorsese, Taxi Driver, King of Comedy influence. And the Batman was wearing the David Fincher. And it got distracting for me.
Yes.
A lot. Yeah.
So for me, and I don't want to give too much away, the things I didn't like, I did not like the score. Like, I didn't realize how much a score either puts me in or takes me out of a movie. Yeah. I didn't like the score. So when the score was going on, and I was thinking about it, like, it's the most minimalist, like, you could have paid me $500 and I could have came up with that score.
Minimalist isn't even bad. It's just when it's done well.
Right.
And what was it? Like, somebody pointed it out, and I can't get it out of my head. It's eerily close to the Imperial March.
Yes.
Except it's like really slowed down, and
it's really slowed down. It's just bong, 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 bum, bum.
Yeah.
Bum, bum.
And the Nirvana song didn't help either. Right?
No.
It just felt out of place.
Yeah.
I mean, they should just use the Paul Anka cover of "Smells Like Teen Spirit,"
as you brought up in the Joe down. So the score brought it down. The 3-hour runtime. I'm not opposed to movies being 3. I think movies are going to start moving that way with the advent of people binging shows, for 2-3 hours at a time.
I don't like this. I don't like the trend of 3-hour movies. When we were growing up, 3-hour movies were that length, and normally it's because they were considered masterpieces.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I will.
And so you had like the VHS was like the double box, and the only movies I really remember getting that was The Godfather and Schindler's List.
Yeah.
The Batman is not those.
No, it's not. And like, I hate it for me because, like, I used to be able to hold my bladder through a movie. I can't anymore. I'm fucking 40.
I had to take 2 piss breaks during.
Yeah, I was able to limit to 1. But so I didn't like that. But I do get it, and I'm not opposed to it. Like, I do think there's more there. But what I felt was almost like, kind of, again, as you said, it wore David Fincher on its sleeve. It really, there were scenes where I was like, man, this is holding a little too long. There's a lot of things where I was like, man, you could have cut that down to 2.5 hours and not lost anything.
Yeah, I took 2 bathroom breaks. I came back and I didn't miss anything. I even asked Joe Brown. He was like, "You're fine." He even said that at one point in the review. Yeah, and here's the thing: for theatrical releases, like keep it to a tight hour and a half. I
Yeah.
get that. I get the impulse they're doing is because more people are binging. The difference is people binge at home, as
Right.
opposed to a theater. So, like, would I have loved to if so this world of the Batman that Matt Reeves created? Would I have loved to see like an 8-hour version as a miniseries on HBO Max? Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
But I don't want to sit 3 hours in a movie theater for a superhero movie. I get impatient in a movie theater anyway. I hate going to movies. I've hit that age. It's not fun for me, and especially when it's 3 hours. I go in the afternoon and then I get out of the theater and it's dark and it's just no, I can't do it anymore.
I don't
It
mind it.
weighs
I
on me.
personally, I don't mind it because I do it so infrequently. So when I do it, it is a nice treat to be able to go in and, see a movie that way. But yeah, I mean, so I guess, when all these people are giving it 10s and 9s and like everyone was over, losing their shit over this movie, I was like, it was good. It was good. I am. I mean, they did okay 2 more to make it a trilogy, so I am looking forward to how they build that. I really hope that they don't jump right to the Joker in the second one.
I hope they do Court of Owls, honestly.
Yeah, Court of Owls or Hush. I would love to see, or
Yep.
Clayface, like, because this was a film noir. Clayface would be an awesome take, for that detective side, like. Where is he? Like Clayface is pretending to be this, but it would be really, really good. I think in this film noir detective world, Clayface would be a great villain to introduce.
And especially, and this is still grounded. This is another thing I've been wondering because this is like grounded. It's a little more fantastical than the Nolan movies, but not by much.
Not by much.
Not by much. There's no like superpower. Does DC have any? Are they going to try to put this into the DCEU with like the Flash movie and Aquaman? Because it totally does not even fit. And this is where I think DC should just stop trying to do that.
I'm with you on that. I am completely out of the DCEU. Like I've given up. It's not worth it. They fucked it up and it's on them.
Mr. Snyder fucked.
Well, yeah, Mr. Snyder, but they, I understand
They rushed it, but I
yes.
mean, when the best thing, so this has been going on. Man of Steel's what?
Oh, God.
2014, 2012?
2012, I think.
So you're going on a decade now.
2013. 2013. Yeah, you're going on a decade.
You're going on a decade, and the only good things that came out of it so far is one Wonder Woman movie and the Peacemaker show.
Yeah, that's it.
And I didn't mind the new Suicide Squad, but it wasn't anything special.
Right.
But Peacemaker was really good.
Peacemaker was really good, but yeah, it was better. Okay, so we've done enough movie talk for that. Now I want to move in because this one really affected me. As people may know from the Cast That movie, we casted quite a few wrestling things. Scott Hall dying fucked me up more than I thought it was going to, man.
Yeah, Razor Ramon.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, I didn't know much about him until I started watching like old, and like everybody's like he was like one of the nicest guys, which I would never have gotten based on his persona in the ring. But yeah, that was a rough blow.
It was. So about him being the nicest guy. So a couple of things there, because I do want to be realistic in it. Yeah, he went on a show. He went on Jerry Springer, like before Jerry Springer was Jerry Springer, and they had these children living with HIV and AIDS. And Razor Ramon was there, like they're giving kids like their last wish or whatever. And so Razor Ramon was there, and he had his IC title belt, and in between takes, or in between like filming and not filming. He was like, hey, I'm going to give this kid my belt and I'm going to leave. And Jerry was like, no, we want to have it on TV. And Razor was like, I don't want to do that. And like Jerry kind of forced him to do it. And he always felt like that would cheapen what he did for the kid. So there is a story where Razor Ramon refused to sign this dying kid's birthday card because there was all these cameras around and all these people were doing it and the kid wasn't there. And he's like, I'd rather go see the kid. So people like take that story and like twist it like, oh my God, what an asshole he was. And he was like, no, it was a card. The kid wasn't there. He's like, I wasn't feeling the greatest either. And he goes, I was dealing with some food poisoning, but he goes, my whole thing was I wanted to go see the kid. I wanted to go hug this kid. I didn't want to just sign this card and have the cameras on me and be like, oh, look at me. Scott Hall's a wonderful dude, you know? Yeah. So there is that. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. But he also had his darker moments. So. I did enjoy the, whatever that documentary is where they're talking about the plane ride from hell. And he's, he's raising hell, but then he just passes the fuck out for 12 hours.
He said that Kurt Hennig gave him. He's like Kurt Hennig slipped him an H. He's like, I know Kurt Hennig slipped me an H.
Yeah, it was one of those things where like I kind of knew Ric Flair was a little sketchy, but it's like no, don't make Razor Ramon. And it's like, oh, thank God he just passed out after tearing up like part of the cabin. But at least he wasn't flashing his dong at some poor woman.
No. Here's a really, because you're talking about the Dark Side of the Ring, the Vice story, right? Yeah. So here's something really interesting about that, and I heard other interviews after that. What is interesting is people have said, well, they brought up this particular plane ride, but the stories you're getting are from like 4 different plane rides.
Yeah. Well, people have to remember these guys were the height of wrestling. They were all fucked up.
Yes.
Every single one of them.
Yep.
Yeah. That's very, but the plane ride from the only thing that I think was from that ride was the Nature Boy.
The Ric Flair thing.
That was startling. It's one of those things like the less I know about people I like, the better.
Well, this is a guy who used to in his promos say, hey, you're going to ride Space Mountain. And he's talking about his dick.
Yeah, but it's like persona, wrestling thing, the persona, like it shouldn't be who you actually are.
Unfortunately, with Ric Flair, that's just what it is. Like,
yeah.
Okay, and next, let's move on here because we got World War III starting. Like,
we are. What are you talking about, Paul?
So here's what's surprising to me, and I don't think we've ever hit our political viewpoints. I think people will unfairly, people who are, right wing and listen to the show are going to immediately go, oh my God, he's a super leftist. And I actually think people on the far left are going to go, man, this guy's not far enough for me, which is ridiculous. But when did the GOP become Putin's bitch?
Well, it's mostly the far right.
Yes, right.
I think a lot of these people Putin may have stuff on. There's people on the right that I respect that are really just being very vocal. People I never thought I would be agreeing with, like Liz Cheney and
absolutely right,
Rosenberg and the Lincoln Project guys.
The Lincoln Project guys have really stepped up.
Because like it's just like they're owning up. Like they helped create this kind of freak show.
Yes,
it's just like because it's healthy to have the varying political views, and when one is like vomiting brain diarrhea all over and the other like trying to talk policy, it doesn't work. Like we need more like George Wales and shit on the right.
Yeah,
it can actually articulate well their positions. We're just like going down this fucking. The far left is starting to do some of this too, which is just like it makes me want to just live in a cabin with no TV or radio and just knock out from the world because it's insane.
Well, that's why I said some of the far left are going to look at me and go, "You're not," and I'm going to go, "Are you fucking? You're insane."
Yeah, but I'll be on with the squad is a major part of the problem too.
I don't. Well, yes. No, I mean, that's
They're not. They're. I'm not going to vote for this legislation because it doesn't go far to the like shit.
yes.
There's like no compromise at this point, and it
Yeah,
just.
that's the problem.
So
Yes.
yeah, I'm going after all you fuckers, you Lauren Boeberts and your AOCs. Like, you're fucking part of the problem here. Like, fuck.
Yeah, there's got to be the age of compromise has to come back. But I think what I'm seeing is, yeah, why I was saying the GOP is because a lot of the, the rising stars that came about in the Trump era are like those people are very much like brainwashing this whole Putin's not a bad guy thing. And I'm going, like I mean, I went and got food. I went and got food the other day, and I'm doing an event for work, and I just want to go eat some fucking food. So I go to this nice quiet restaurant. Right when it opened, no one's there. I mean, I'm doing an event where I'm running, and the people all just one after the other. I'm talking to people, talking to people, talking to people. So I go and sit down, and the guy, it's just me in the restaurant, and the guy who's either is working that day, who's an older guy. I'm wondering if he like co-owns it or just whatever. Starts fucking talking to me about what a genius Putin is, and I'm like, God damn it, like I'm just trying to fucking eat, and you are gonna just unfucking invited start talking politics with me, like the fuck, man.
Let me just say, if you're on the side of the guy who murders journalists for being critical of him in their stories, which Putin has infamously been doing for 20 years, you're not on the right side of history.
No. And again, this is also the guy that has been rigging the elections. The quote elections.
Their elections are a farce. It's the same. Russia's elections are the same as Iraq's when Saddam was.
Yes.
It's predetermined, and it's just basically just a show.
Yep.
And so, everybody knows it. Even the citizens know it. They know those elections aren't real.
Right. So when you're on that side of that guy, and you're rooting for him, and I am going to say, I think it's because with a lot of this incredibly far right, there is this nationalism. There's this, whole thing where Putin has been going against the LGBTQ. And I think there's a lot of people that are like, we need to tie ourselves to that on this really far right side. And I think that's a terrible position.
Let me also tell you, there's people on the far left that are pro-Putin too. Look up Lee Camp.
Oh,
he worked for RT, which was
Russian television. Mm-hmm.
Yep. He is very spouts the ideals of far left, but he's also absolutely pro-Putin. It's the most fucked up thing. I feel like I'm in a house. I feel like I'm in a weird fun house from hell.
Right.
It's like nothing makes sense anymore. Like, Republicans are pro-Russia. What the fuck is going on?
Right. I'm agreeing with Mitt Romney and Liz Cheney. Like, what the fuck happened in my life that I'm going, these are people I should never agree with ever.
Yeah, no, like I never thought I'd see a day where I'd agree with a Cheney on anything. Because 20 years ago, for me, there was no family more wretched in my eyes than the Cheney family and the Bush family. And now they're the rational ones in the room. Like,
what happened and how did this happen? Right? Yeah. No, I'm with you. I'm with you 1,000,000%. All right. Well, with that, buddy, let's jump into the Dead Milkmen, Big Lizard in My Backyard, because, as I said, this is something that I think is why I brought this all up is this is an album that is very satirical, is very left-leaning, but I think if modern day liberals and far leftists heard this album, they would denounce it.
That would just be every punk album from the 80s, Paul. Like this.
Right. So let's dig in this. So Joe, what was your first foray into the Dead Milkmen, Big Lizard in My Backyard?
This is the first time I've heard it. I've listened to the Beelzebubba.
Okay.
So this was the first time listening to this one, and wasn't a huge fan.
Oh,
I guess.
Okay.
Mostly because this is the problem with a lot of the early to mid 80s punk music. It's almost all sounds the same to me. And,
Yeah.
they're wearing their influences on their sleeve.
Mm-hmm.
Like we just talked about. But yeah, I'm hearing so many John Lydon impressions on this
Oh God,
album
yeah. Oh God, yeah.
that
Yeah.
I got really mad at one point.
I will
I
give you
hate the
that.
Sex Pistols. I just hate the
Well,
Sex Pistols. But
that
there are a few songs on here I did like, but those are the ones that obviously are going to stand out because they're different from all the others.
and I will say that we used to, in the punk scene, we used to joke, like when someone come up, he'd be like, "Yeah, man, you're punk rock like the Sex Pistols," and people would be like, "Yeah," and we'd be like, "No."
Yeah. No, I mean, it's like I like the Dead Milkmen. This one was it's like when you listen to like the first Replacements album,
Yeah.
it sounds the same. If you listen to I'm just blanking, but it's just like it's just from that time where it's just they have.
Well, you could do the first Floyd album even. It wasn't great. It wasn't, I mean, Pipers at the Gates on there wasn't a lot of variation in the songs.
No, but at least it was, it's was produced a lot better.
Yes. Well, yeah, it's better produced, 100%. But it wasn't.
But yeah, like just a lot of the early punk. It's just, it's like when I listen to early Vandals, I get the same thing. Like, I just don't like this. Early Black Flag, even almost all of Black Flag except for Damage. I'm just like, I hate this. It's just.
I'm so glad you bought the Vandals because I personally love the Vandals. Like I
love the Vandals too, but if you listen to Peace Through Vandalism, it's
not great.
Like it's terrible.
Yeah, compared to like God, Vandals good, Hitler bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, completely. And this is this is just like we talked about Mark Lanigan. This is the origin for the Dead Milkmen.
Yeah. A lot of times origins are just not as great because I love stuff that the Milkmen, like Punk Rock Girl and stuff like they did later on, where they're kind of like,
and Stewart,
they kind of embraced like more ambitious musical ideas. It's just this one is just kind of fell flat. A lot of the songs, some of them I really enjoyed.
Yeah,
I love when they take the piss out of the Doors. That was good.
Yeah, and I will say I personally I love this album. Like I grew up with it. So this is just one of those things.
Yeah, and I was going to bring that up too because this is kind of like when we did Revolting Cocks. I liked it more probably because I have that nice sheen of nostalgia with it.
Yep.
Where you probably have that too, where you heard this at a certain time and a certain point in your life, you're developing your music taste, so it impacts you. So you have that with this album, where I heard this for the first time as a 40-year-old man.
Right.
And I'm just like, yeah, I get it. Like it's just like when you heard Revolting Cocks, it was like, oh. Yeah, I guess.
No, and I could totally respect that position because that's a great analogy and it's very, very true. So the songs are very short, so I'm just gonna go through Tiny Town. I think it's hilarious. I mean, this is. I mean, I'm listening to it again as a driving downtown Minneapolis today, and I'm listening. I got my radio. I got my windows down a little bit and. I realized, shit, I should not be playing this song loud, even though it's making fun of, a certain demographic. There's lyrics in it that if someone heard, they're gonna be like, "The fuck are you listening to?"
Yeah, I drove around with listening to it today too, but I live in Fargo where people don't give a shit about that stuff.
Right,
so
right.
I have a little more shield when it comes to our non-PC choices.
Right.
You're going to get canceled, Paul. Like, it's like Paul Muad'Dib's going to start trending on Twitter
very, very soon.
Because nobody here cares.
Nobody listening gives a shit. You got lyrics. My name is Billy Bob. I don't give a damn. I just got myself some white sheets straight from the Ku Klux Klan. I got myself a daughter, and she's a Mongoloid because I married my sister, and our gene pool's been destroyed. You know what they're singing about. Next is Beach Song.
They're singing about Stearns County.
They're singing about the Tri-County area. You got Beach Song. In being older and listening to this one, I don't think it's all that great. I mean, I do like it because it's definitely has that like that beach sound to it a little bit. But as a kid, the line, my girlfriend, she lies on the beach like a barrier reef, just cracked me up. Like, when you're 10 years old and you hear that, it's funny.
Yeah.
So I don't know what you thought about that one.
My note said the bass was okay, but the guy sounds trying too hard to sound like John Lydon. As I've said before, I hate John Lydon.
Yep. No, I get it. Now, next you got Plum Dump.
Yeah, it was like kind of a rockabilly song, so I like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which is,
I wrote my notes, kind of sounds like the Violent Femmes.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Great call.
Plus their later stuff is very, I think like them and the Femmes were kind of like on the same like wavelength musically.
Yeah, and that's another band we got to get to at some point is the Femmes, because I actually went and saw them live not too long ago. Fucking genius. Next is Swordfish. I love this song.
Yeah, it reminded me of a dumb Black Flag song, but it was all right.
I mean, it's so dumb. It's so dumb. I mean, the fact that he doesn't even say Joni loves Chachi, he calls him Crotchy. Joni loves Crotchy. Veterans of a Fucked Up World. This to me is a classic. Again, being 10 years old, secretly singing this song in my sister's room, and feeling like, I'm 10 years old. I'm getting away with saying the word fuck.
Now again, you have that memory. I'm listening to this as a 40-year-old, and I'm just like, wow, you guys are edgy. Like, it just made me like every band at the Java joint, like, yeah, God, yeah, I get it. I get it.
Yep. Absolutely. So there is that nostalgia to me. Next is Rossabilly, which I also think is a great song. It's got that, I think it's funny. And I just like the kind of the Southern twang they got going with it for a minute-long song.
Yeah, it was all right.
Go ahead.
It was like a novelty hick song.
Yeah, it's a novelty hick song. That's exactly what it is. The next one's Serrated Edge, another one.
I love the Charles Nelson Riley references in this.
Yeah, I knew you would. I knew you would. And that's why I love it as well. Charles Nelson Riley, he's our man. He can't heal the sick with the touch of his hand.
That was, yes. So for me, like, this is when the album starts actually, it's weird because it's like, we're going into like track 8, 9 and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is where I was like, they're starting to do stuff that's kind of veers from that tracks that came before, but at least this middle part is kind of like where I was more enjoying it, and then it just flops out at the end. So it's really weird how it's
yeah, there's definitely like shifts in the album. There really, really is. Yeah, no, I love that. Ain't no good, there be no priest, ain't gonna be no boss, just Charles Nelson Riley nailed to a cross. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah, no, that was
great song. Then you got Lucky, which I enjoy.
I didn't like it. Even in my notes I wrote at 2 minutes it felt too long.
It does. That I will give. And because the lyrics, I will say they repeat. And this is a problem that I have with it. You got a 2-minute song, don't repeat the lyrics. Title track, Big Lizard in My Backyard.
I like this one. I like the imagery in it.
I know, right? Got him for $1.50. That's really neat. Yeah, that's fucking nifty. I can't afford to feed him. And you see the way he shits. Gorilla Girl. Oh my God. Okay. I like Gorilla Girl. What did you think of Gorilla Girl?
It was all right.
Okay. So there is a line in here that, like, when I was younger, I was trying to write like a comedy book when I was like in my early teens. And there was the thing where whenever I date Gorilla Girl, I whack her with a rake. And there was a scene in the book where I wrote down, like, her parents came and got her with rake in hand to smack her with later. So yeah. Then you got Fillet of Soul, which is a weird song.
Yeah, you skipped right over Bitch and Camaro.
I did. Oh my God. Which is
one of the only songs I like, Paul. You skipped right over it.
No, Bitch and Camaro, which is the big hit off this album.
Yeah.
Like,
well, actually, I like the first half, and then when it gets into the punk stuff, I just lost interest right away. So, like, the whole intro part I love, where they're shitting about the Doors and talking about the car and all that. Like, I love that. And then it was just like, Bitch and Camaro, bitch. And I'm just like, yeah, okay.
Oh, really? How'd you get a car? Oh, my folks drove up from the Bahamas. You're
Yeah.
kidding. I must be. The Bahamas are islands.
Love me too, Todd.
Love me 2 times, baby. Love me twice today. Love me 2 times, girl, because I got AIDS.
Yeah.
Yep. Um, yeah, no, this is like the big hit. Um, like Punk Rock Girl is kind of known now as like the big hit, but this one was like the song that really got the Dead Milkmen notice was Bitchin' Camaro. As a matter of fact, I was out with my 19-year-old daughter, and we were driving. I was taking her out to do dinner for her birthday or lunch for her birthday, and I'm listening to this album for the review, and she's like, "You listen to Bitchin' Camaro?" I'm like, "Are you fucking kidding me right now?" Like, so she's like, "I love this song." So yeah, I mean, this is one of the ones that is like their definitive song. Um, and it's probably the song why my sister bought the album, was because it was playing on college radio a lot. Which my sister listened to a lot of, even at a young age. So next is Filet of Soul, which is a weird song. Not my favorite. It's just kind of in my opinion, like weird song about fish. Okay.
The next few songs, I'm just like that too. Like I said, this was like a lot of misses for me. But again, I'm hearing it for the first time as a 40-year-old man.
Right,
Where it's
right.
just like,
Well, Spit Sync is kind of a throwaway to me. I mean, I like how it's different from other things, but it is a little poignant, and because some of the lyrics in there definitely lean towards like going against some of the societal stuff, and you wouldn't think on it, but if you look at the lyrics, and I'm not going to say the lyric here, but you'll get it. Violent School. Now, boy, this in 1985 was a very different feel than what it has in 2022, Joe. In 1985, that was kind of a trauma, apocalyptic,
yeah,
wasteland movie kind of thing.
yeah.
And, you never really thought it would become a reality. And then come 1999, 2000,
When we were in high school.
when we were in high school, shit got real.
Yeah. All of a sudden, those trauma movies for a little while were not as funny.
We're not as funny. No,
Yeah,
no.
especially now, like, because we were like patient zero with that shit.
We were.
I mean, it happened. It happened before, but that was like the first time I think like it was like blown up, like, and then it's just kept happening.
Yeah, well,
and it hasn't stopped.
What's really interesting to me is um when we were in high school, I wore a trench coat.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I did. Yes, I did.
You also
And
carried around a gun all the time for some reason.
well, again, violence rules. So yeah,
Talking about Hitler and shit. It was a really weird time for you.
It was
bad timing for you, Paul.
It was a bad time to be.
You're all like Marilyn Manson, Doom,
Hitler. No.
Hitler. Look at my gun. Like, whoa, Paul. You see what's happening in Colorado?
So,
yeah.
So when Columbine happened, I can't tell you the number of people that came up to me and apologized. Like, wow, all of a sudden I became really popular, and it was really weird. And like the people that knew me were like, "That's fucking ridiculous," but those that didn't, apparently people were really freaked out by the way I carried myself in high school. So go me.
Yeah, it was a weird time. I went to Pace the following year.
Yes.
And there was a kid there who wore a trench coat, but he was still like reading Guns and Ammo at the school, and it was just like very unsettling. The guy was like a little off. I don't know. He was like, nobody talked to him, but I didn't want to talk to him because he's wearing a trench coat and reading Guns and Ammo and mumbling to himself. Like,
fucking
I'm just gonna like just not make an impression one way or another on this guy.
No, I mean, and that's, I mean, I wasn't that, I mean, first of all, I would never buy Guns and Ammo or because you get on a list. I don't know if people know that or not, but you were on a list. No.
Yeah. Well, mumbling to yourself while reading it too. It didn't help.
I wonder what became of that guy. So next song did not age well at all.
Yeah, no. But again, when I was blasting this while I was driving around Fargo, nobody paid any mind to me, Paul.
Yeah, this is a song that I definitely turned down. Taking retards to the zoo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
The language has changed a lot. Like we use that word, or at least I did a lot in high school because I didn't think it was offensive.
Right. We use it all the time in middle school and even in elementary school, middle school, high school. Yeah.
But like I learned like how hurtful that word is to people.
Yeah.
I really reined that in, which really lowered my vocabulary when I rage drive around because I have the worst road rage. And it really, now I just go to my standard calling everybody cunts when I'm driving.
Yeah, I do that all the time.
It's just like, I know that's an offensive word and people hate it, but I gotta have something to yell.
I just say I use it in the way the British use it.
Yeah, same here. But also you fucking idiots and
yeah. I mean, because understand that it means something completely different over there. Kind of like fanny over here is not as bad as it is over in Europe. Don't say fell on your fanny when you're in Europe. Just don't. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you can look that up later. Next is Junkie. Junkie's a hilarious song to me. Yeah. The other thing I want to jump back to the song Lucky. And I do all these things. Like I write down notes, but then I try to, improv it because that's where I come from. But going back to the song Lucky, that song actually did not age very well to me because there's people that we know who died in car accidents. So that song's not as like, I don't know. I just don't think Lucky was age well at all. That's another song that didn't. But Junkie, yeah, I mean, I knew Junkies.
I've had friends that luckily made it through the other side of that, and some who unfortunately are still trapped in that. But whatever.
And I've actually had friends that died from that.
It doesn't make me overly sensitive to it. It's a part of life.
Yeah, but Junkie, I think it's a funny song. There's just something to it. Shoot up or shut up, shoot up or shut up.
Yeah. I wish somebody would have told that to Cobain.
Too bad Mark Lachlan didn't. So next is Bright Ring Pigeons, which is, I love this song.
Yeah, this is like really the only song I actually enjoyed. Just because it felt like it was straight out of Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. It does feel like something that they would do like in between viewings. Yeah.
It has the politics, but also has like this weird fucking sci-fi element to it. And the music I actually liked because it was different from everything else on the album.
Yeah. No, got some lady in Detroit got pissed at my brother, so she sprayed it in his face. Now, what could make her act that way? She's just a bright-winged pigeon from outer space. Yeah, it's like, what? Yeah. Dean's Dream, I really like this song. I like the voice of the person singing it versus the lead singer. And it, like, the lyrics are like, yeah, this guy really just wrote a song about what he dreamt about one night, which was him going to a theater and seeing people from his high school band, and he was on a cooking show, and next thing he knows, he's in a van with Steve McGarrett from Hawaii Five-0 and gets assaulted by some dudes. Like, I don't know, it had a different feel and had a different sound as well, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I didn't. So.
Okay, fair enough. Laundromat Song, another song that didn't age well.
Oh no, Well, I mean, I don't know if you noticed, but they use the R word a lot on this whole album.
yeah. Not only that, but he sings about seeing a girl at the laundromat who looks about 16 or 17, and he's gonna take her home. And I'm going,
Yeah,
yeah,
see, it's
yeah,
creepy. Yeah, and
yeah.
it's not like 13 by Big Star, where it's from the point of view of another 13-year-old. It's the Scott Pilgrim problem, where he's like 22 and hitting on a 16.
Yeah, and I went, oh no. Although I did like the I'm gonna give her my all of Borax. It's like what? Nutrition. I like this song because came from, like lower middle class, so making fun of, the wealthy and things like that.
So
I
like if they slowed it down and did different things, it'd have been like a They Might Be Giants song to me.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah, so I
absolutely.
like that one a bit.
My life is easy. My life ain't hard. Gonna spend all day in my fucking backyard. um, and then you have To Jenna, which
Yeah, this was an interesting way to close an album.
isn't it? It's totally different sounding from like the punk stuff they were doing.
Yeah, like if they would have leaned more into this kind of shit, which I think, they have eventually,
Do
more, yeah.
Yeah, they do later.
This is, it's interesting. Do I think it's good? It's all right.
Yeah,
At least it was more interesting than some of the other things. That was my problem with the album. So I'll give it. And like I said, I always give credit when people like try different things, which I appreciate. So yeah, I'll give them credit for it. Did it stick the landing for me? Not really, but so.
And so I looked because really it's instrumental everywhere, and they're saying stuff, and it's there's a few things here and there, but I'm like, is this where the band Eve 20 got its name? Because there's this phrase Eve 20, and I'm like, that's where Eve 20 got its name. Yeah, it's kind of got this, do you sell punk rock shirts? We do. I didn't know. Do you sell punk rock shirts? We do. I didn't know. Like repeating that, and also I didn't know. So yeah,
Block that kick.
Block that kick. Yeah, so there's just little funny little things in there. So yeah, that's I get, like, again, I this is a album that at listening to the first time at 40, like you said, like when I listened to the Revolting Cocks, and I was like, oh man, okay, I'm 40 listening to this. Yeah, I can see where you're gonna go. There isn't much here. So yeah, that's kind of it. Do you have anything else to say about them or anything, or about the album or anything?
No, it was, I guess, the nostalgia ultimately is going to be a issue when we start picking albums that were like from our formative years, especially if the other was not listening to it.
Yeah,
but I mean, it does have its moments for me, but it's just like overall, it was just the formula, just the John Lydon impressions, just. Well, knowing that they become a better band, at least I was happy about that because I like their later stuff. This was just like, yeah, it didn't do much for me. Like,
no,
the Reagan politics, like I get it, but like I was fucking born in '81, so I was completely unaware of Reagan politics until I was like in my 20s.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll talk a little bit about the band. So, like, they started in 1979, and like
I also wanted to say, are they a Midwest band?
They no, they are Pennsylvania.
It felt like Midwest album.
Nope, Pennsylvania, my friend.
Oh, East Coast. Well,
the East Coast. Yep. So yeah, they started in 1979, and they were just they were a little bit ahead of their time. They were doing cassettes and doing stuff, out of their home, and they the name Dead Milkmen came from the novel Song of Solomon, and this is something that Gennaro had in his head, like in high school, like created this whole thing around this imaginary band called the Dead Milkmen, and then they started to become a big thing. They released, Bitch and Camaro, got a lot of college play and kind of got them their in a lot of places. Then they did Eat Your Parsley, or Your Paisley, excuse me, with the song The Thing That Only Eats Hippies, which also became another big song of theirs. So then we got Beelzebubba, which had Punk Rock Girl, which is like
they're big, yeah.
Their big hit. I mean, that got them on MTV.
Yeah, video and shit.
Yep.
Good song. Like I guess it wasn't aired enough for me to get burnt out on it. Like unlike a lot of MTV videos, so I still enjoy that song.
Yes. Then after that, just like a lot of other bands, they had an album called Metaphysical Graffiti, which got a lot of hits because of got on a lot of lists because of it being the follow-up to Beelzebubba, but it didn't have any hits or anything like that, so that kind of started to hurt the band. Then they switched labels and they came out with Not Richard But Dick, and didn't do very well. Soul Rotation, then Not Richard But Dick, and they kind of broke up and they took like a 13-year hiatus. And then back in 2008, they kind of got back together and, play do kind of live shows, kind of playing off of what they do. So yeah. And what's funny is they bring up FOD in one of their songs, and which is a hardcore punk band, Flag of Democracy, and they actually do stuff with them now. Even they gave them a shout out in their album, and they actually do stuff with them now. So yeah, that's kind of what the Dead Milkmen are. I think the best way I could really describe it to me is, or I think to the audience is, it's a less successful punk rock version of Ween.
Yeah, I was gonna say Violent Femmes, like.
Yes.
A lot of the lyrics and vocals are, small town boredom and fucking sick of Hicks and, conservative politics. It's like it's set to more punk than what the we're doing.
Yes, but I think that the Violent Femmes try to take themselves more seriously than the Dead Milkmen ever did. The Dead Milkmen always stayed comedy.
I dig the Black Chicks.
Well, yes, I know.
Country Death Song.
Country Death Song. Yeah, I mean, there is some, but
American Music.
American Music, which is a great song, by the way.
Yeah.
Fucking yeah, I know. Give It Up or Add It Up. Yes,
Add It Up. I love Add It Up.
But
Kiss Off is my favorite.
Kiss Off is a great song. Blister in the Sun, which I've done for karaoke numerous times. Yeah, there is there, but they also have their serious songs in there. Like there was the song off the Crow album that they did, things like that. You never got that from the Dead Milkmen. You never got like a serious song from the Dead Milkmen. So yeah, I guess, Joe, would you recommend the album?
No,
okay.
I would not. They go on to do better things, people. But if I were, I wouldn't recommend it, but I would say if you're going to grab some songs off this album, Right Wing Pigeons and Bitch and Camaro, like you can probably throw those on a list and you can probably forget about the rest of the album, in my opinion.
So I'm actually going to agree with you on this.
What?
I know this is an album that, this is an album that I very much enjoy, but to sit there, like, again, and I saw it when I was sitting with my daughter in the car, and I was listening to it. Like Bitch and Camaro she really got into, but none of the other songs she really got into. She's like, okay, whatever, blah blah blah. And I realized that, for me, it was the nostalgia. It definitely is. Like I can take the nostalgia glasses off and look at this and go, outside of Bitch and Camaro, outside of Right Wing Pigeons, outside of Dean's Dream, I do like To Jenna, but there's the juvenile humor in here that doesn't translate well to millennial or Gen Z humor. And again, if you didn't listen to it before and like a 40-year-old person, you're not gonna like this. And the satire of it doesn't fit modern social norms either. So now if you're into it, you're probably the people that it's making fun of.
Yeah. That's kind of like, again, that's like what I went through with the Revolting Cocks, like outside of Beer, Steers, and Queers. The rest of the album was kind of like, yeah, I could see why people wouldn't ever want to listen to this. Like,
Right.
yeah, sometimes you just got to take off those rose tinted glasses and be like, oh, maybe the stuff I liked wasn't exact. Maybe it was a lot cooler when I was 15 and growing up in a very conservative central Minnesota town where this was shocking and scared people. Now it's now people I don't like are listening to it for the wrong reasons.
Right. There was a guy that hung out the Java joint that I absolutely hate, and I still hate him now. And the thing is that I never had any real interaction with this dude. Like, I shouldn't hate the person that, like, I never really had any problems with. I didn't like the way he looked. He just had that face. I just wanted to fucking hit. But he also was a punk that ran around with a Confederate flag on his truck. So here we got this punk guy with a Confederate flag on his truck and the Confederate flag pinned all over his denim jacket. And
that's a very confusing dynamic, but I guess Sid Vicious wore the swastika shirt, so
have what you have on it, right? So yeah, I mean, I kind of picture him being into this now, and like, if I were to make a recommendation, we already talked about it. It would be Beelzebubba.
Yeah. That's a solid album.
It's a solid album. It's
not only that, is like the lyrics are a lot more clever, I would say.
They've grown by this point.
They've grown, and the musicianship's a lot. I mean, this is a Genesis album. Like when we talk about Lanigan and stuff, it's interesting seeing the DNA of what will become later.
Yes,
it doesn't necessarily make a good album.
No, and and again, after Beelzebubba, which was like their height, they never really got there again. And again, there's in between each one, with Big Legs in My Backyard, with Eat Your Paisley, there are a track or two like out the next album, Beach Party Vietnam, KKK Suck 2, that are I think worth getting. Same thing off of Bucky Fellini. There's songs on there to grab off that, but really it's, for whatever happened, Beelzebubba was like lightning in a bottle.
Yeah.
And they never got to it again. It's like,
that's how I feel with Flood, with They Might Be Giants. Like, there's stuff I like a lot that they did before and after, but as a solid whole album, like that was lightning in a bottle.
Well, shit. Oh, man, okay.
Look,
that was going to be my next album, Joe.
Well, you already got my recommendation. I love Flood, so.
Shit.
Yeah.
Shit. Now I got to pick something different. Fuck.
We can still do Flood. I'll listen to Flood.
All right. So, well, I'm not giving away.
It's not your pick. It's my pick.
Next. It is your pick next. Joe. What are we? Well, first, let's get to the plugs, Joe. What's going on with the Joe Down?
We're going to be reviewing the movie Chips, based on the old 70s TV show.
Oh, no.
California Highway Patrol.
Yes.
I've seen it already because I was drunk one night and it was on HBO, and it was an unpleasant experience, and now I have to relive it.
Oh no! It's a terrible movie. Okay, all right. And then what do you guys got going after Chips? Do you know?
Oh yeah, I told Brown this last night because I wanted a reason to watch it. We're gonna watch Spider-Man: No Way Home.
Oh, nice! I haven't seen that yet. Is that on Disney Plus yet?
No, it's since Sony owns Spider-Man, it's never going to be on Disney Plus.
Oh, so we probably won't get it on a streaming service.
Whatever. If Sony has a licensing thing with some, but I haven't seen any of those Spider-Man movies available.
No, I haven't.
I own Homecoming.
Okay.
I didn't like the second one, so.
Yeah, no, I like the Spider-Man. I like the new Spider-Man. So yeah, I do want to see that one because I know I also really enjoy Doctor Strange. I just didn't go to the theater for it, and I was just gonna watch it with the kids and everything. So now I gotta figure out a way to watch it. Okay.
So digitally now you can like buy it. It's like $20 or something. Like I'm still on the fence about pull. I guess I'll have to pull the trigger unless I can find somebody I can fucking borrow it from or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Nobody
Because
buys physical media anymore, so that kind of fucks me over.
right.
I'm the only one who buys things.
No, it's so funny because I brought up like, that's why I have the PS5. It has the Blu-ray in it. And people are like, you still buy Blu-ray? I'm like, fuck you.
Yeah, I buy 4Ks, man. Like it does look better off the disc though.
So, all right, Joe. So what are we doing next week, buddy?
I decided to pick an album that kind of flew under my radar at least because it was released in January of 2020. So we were just it came out and then the world went into pandemic and I completely forgot about it.
Ooh, okay.
Have you heard of the band The Black Lips?
No, I have not.
Well, there's a band called The Black Lips, and they play like a weird indie rock band. A lot of it's kind of like it's just weird, but they decided to put out a country albums with a title was apropos for the pandemic that would happen just 2 months later. Sing in a World That's Falling Apart is the name of the album.
Oh no! Oh no!
Oh yes!
How prolific!
Yeah, so I want to listen to that because I like the Black Lips. But they did a country album, and I'm very interested in seeing how this goes.
All right, I'll be interested to see how this goes. So we're gonna do the Black Lips. We got what's this here? We got songs like Hooker John, Chainsaw, Holding Me, Holding You. All right. And it looks like it's a nice short album too, so I can get behind that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Yeah.
The Black Lips.
The Black Lips.
I do like this band. I'm just interested in. They did a country album. I'm still trying to wrap my head around that.
Well, it's kind of like for
me.
Ween
did a country album.
I was gonna say when Ween did a country album, everyone was like, "The fuck."
So we'll see how this one goes.
Interesting. And last thing, since we're on here, so I wanted to bring this up because there was some debate on Facebook, and I wanted to bring this up to you.
Debate.
Yeah, I got it. It wasn't much of a debate on Facebook, mind you, but it was something that I thought was interestingly to bring up. And I'll tell you what my point of view is, and it may not be popular. So one second here. So the post was about Rolling Stone readers pick the best lead singers of all time.
Oh God, that was
Robert Plant, Freddie Mercury, Bono, Mick Jagger, Jim Morrison, Robert Daltrey, Eddie Vedder, John Lennon, Chris Cornell, Kurt Cobain.
All men.
All men. And someone brought this up. Tina Turner, Ann Wilson, Gladys Knight, Ann Lennox could wipe the floor vocally with at least 5 of these guys, just saying. And my point of view with it was, I agree, but they're saying a lead singer, which implies fronting a band. So I was like, she brought up like Heart and Blondie. And I said, yeah, absolutely. Heart and Blondie could totally agree with. But like Tina Turner, more solo. Gladys Knight, more solo. Ann Lennox was part of a duo, really, and was more famous solo. But yeah, I mean, there's like Kurt Cobain should not be on that list. No. John Lennon should not be on that list because he didn't front the Beatles. He wasn't the lead singer.
And like it's stretching it if you're going to use Plastic Ono Band, in my opinion, because that's not even really a band.
That's not a band. That's solo. Again, I also said this is why I wouldn't consider Ronnie James Dio or Ozzy available like for this list because, well, yes, they both were in Rainbow. They both were in Black Sabbath. They got their real hits from their solo project, right? It's just them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but it is, her whole point was there's a lot of women that should be included on this list. And I was like, yes, you're right. But, she's like, she's like, there needs to be more diversity. And I'm like, I get that, but not to have diversity for diversity's sake. Like, there should be a reason behind it. Like, there were some people like, well, what about Stevie Nicks? She was the lead singer for Fleetwood Mac. No, she wasn't.
She's one of the singers, yeah.
She was one of the things. Again, just the same reason why John Lennon. Well, what about Tina Turner and Ike Turner? They were a duo, and really, it was always Tina doing the singing.
Here's the thing. I could see Janis Joplin since she fronted Big Brother Holding Company.
Yep.
So she would definitely be on that list. Grace Slick.
Grace Slick. Yes. Yes. Yeah. I mean, there's others.
There's better arguments to be made. What's her name from Sleater-Kinney? I would probably put, because I like her vocals.
I love her vocals.
Yeah, Blondie, Debbie Harry. Yeah, put her on there. I love her vocals too. Yeah, I mean, Robert Plant is not the greatest vocalist of all time.
No,
if people want to remember, go back to our Live Aid review.
Yeah, no, and this is the thing, like, and I think Blondie's a great choice because Blondie put out. People don't, I think, realize Blondie put out 11 albums.
Yeah,
11 albums. Yeah, so
solid.
They're solid. So yes, Blondie, 100% completely agree with it. But I wanted to see a little bit more, like, my point being why I was pushing was I think you could come up with better examples than some of these people because they don't really fit into the lead singer criteria. And, I mean, again, there's some, like, I also look at longevity. Like, I love Chris Cornell's voice. I think the guy's a phenomenal singer. But I also really like Karen Carpenter's voice, and I wouldn't put her on that list. Yeah.
You can have your personal list and then the historical list, because my personal lists are always going to be wildly different than what I put in it would be for historical.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Right. But although on both of my lists, number one best frontman or singer of a band is Freddie Mercury. You just don't get better than that, in my opinion.
You don't. Freddie Mercury had...
he was the whole package with the showmanship and fuck, yeah. No.
And he was opera trained. I mean, the guy had a range that was unbelievable, and he was classically opera trained and yet translated that to rock and was compelling. Yeah, absolutely. Like, again, Live Aid would not be as amazing as it was had it not been for Freddie Mercury's performance during it.
Or would you consider Peter Gabriel and Phil Collins off that list too, since they were both more successful solo?
I would actually. I would say, yeah. I wouldn't say
me too.
Yeah, because again, they were more successful solo. Again, a lot of people. Okay, do I like Peter Gabriel Genesis era? Yeah, I do, but Peter Gabriel was more successful outside of it. Way more successful.
To the point, I think there's a lot of people out there have no idea he was in Genesis.
At this day and age, I think there's a lot of people that have.
I think most people with this, when they think of Genesis, they think Phil Collins.
And now Phil Collins, yeah, there's a difficult one there because Phil Collins, I mean, the difference between Phil Collins Genesis and Phil Collins solo, there's not a lot of difference there. Like,
that's why he should be on the list.
Yeah, no. It's because you listen to a Phil Collins song and you could make that a game show. Is it Phil Collins or is it Genesis? Yeah. Make a game show out of it because no one's going to get it. I mean, you got a 50-50 shot every time. Like, I think that was Phil Collins solo. Wrong. That was with Genesis. Ah, shit. Or like David Lee Roth. No. Sammy Hagar. No. And again, Sammy Hagar got more famous as solo Sammy Hagar than he ever did with Van Halen.
He was already a big name when he joined, so.
Yep. And again, Dio was already a kind of a big deal before Black Sabbath, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do agree that yes, there's do you know what band I wished, like, when I saw that list and bring up to it, I'm like, diversity, I wished a band called Death could have been on that list.
Yeah, no shit.
Because I wish their album had been put out when they did it. And I still think that's the biggest tragedy, Joe.
Yeah, that's one of those, holy fuck. Like,
it would have changed the world. It would have changed the world. We wouldn't be in the darkest timeline right now if that album had came out when it did. I think.
Agree. This is the darkest.
We are in the darkest, dumbest fucking timeline. All right, Joe, I'm pretty sure I alienated our entire audience. So,
yeah. Well,
Do you want to take us out?
Hands with the right wingers, so.
Do you want to take us out, buddy?
No.
This has been Rate That Album with Paul Muad'Dib and Joe Fremming. Thank you for listening.